Hey guys, Weeby Newz here, and today I'll be discussing some new news for Danganronpa 2x2. So recently at Anime Expo in Los Angeles, Spike Chunsoft hosted an official panel with several of the English voice actors from Danganronpa 2, alongside Shohei Sakakibara and Kazutaka Kodaka. I heard about this panel a while ago, but I honestly didn't really expect too much because, firstly, I didn't really want to get my hopes up, and secondly, because I honestly thought it would be a bit unusual for them to announce a release date for the game at a non-Japanese anime convention. But I do stand somewhat corrected, because although we didn't get a release date, we did get some new pretty important information about 2x2. First, we found out that the release date is delayed to early 2027. I was not really surprised by this. When we didn't get any new information about 2x2 during the Nintendo Direct in June, I had a feeling that either the game was delayed or at best we might get it by like December of 2026. But overall for me, I'm not upset about this. I'm just glad we got some transparency about development, and now we know what to expect about the release date, because honestly not getting any sort of update for the past few months was starting to feel a bit ominous. So I'm just glad the game's not canceled or anything, and I'm glad that we know kind of when to expect it now. Also, during the event, they did ask that nobody record during the 2x2 section. They said it was fine to spread the information about what was shown, but they didn't want anybody taking any video footage, and they didn't want that to be shared around. So it seems like Spike Chunsoft isn't ready to release the official gameplay that was shown just yet, and instead they only released screenshots during their official press release that you can access on their website. I did find some videos on Twitter of people sharing footage that they recorded during the event, but to avoid legal trouble, I won't be sharing them on screen here. And I also don't want to get that user in any more trouble by sharing it further either. So instead, I'm going to describe what I saw in the videos, since like I said before, at the panel they did say it was fine to describe what happened during the panel, just not show the actual footage of 2x2. But yeah, for this video, I'll mostly be going through the press release, and I'll include any additional information I heard or saw from the panel as I go, and of course I'll also be giving my opinion on things as well. The press release starts out showing that the second scenario is called Slayhem mode, which is honestly hilarious. What a hope-filled name. There's a meme on my channel where every time I tell a character to slay in a good way, they always freaking murder someone and then die a horrible death afterwards. So I'm expecting everyone to die in this mode. And even without thinking about my personal channel memes, I do feel like this name implies that this mode will be crazier and more despair-inducing than the original form, because alongside getting the name of this mode, we also get a screenshot of the choice selection, which makes Slayhem mode look really ominous in comparison to the original one. Like, what do you mean you're using Monami and rainbows and flowers and palm trees to decorate the mode where all of this crazy stuff happens? Like, what does that mean for Slayhem, which is Monokuma themed and covered in blood and chains? The idea of this mode being more intense does remind me of what Kodaka said when I interviewed him back in December of last year. He stated that 2x2 had turned into a genuinely fun Danganronpa game, and that it may be criticized in places for being too Danganronpa. At the time, I sort of took that to mean that this game may be even more insane than the previous entries, and based on this press release and panel, I'm thinking that might be true. And honestly, I am so excited because I am all for insanity. As a V3 ending truther, I love chaos, I love when our expectations are used against us, and I strongly welcome any and all craziness that this installment might bring. I am curious to see what play on words the Japanese version will have for this mode as well, since we got Slayhem. I don't really know if it'll reveal much more regarding what to expect about the mode, but I do think it'll be interesting to find out what it is. It's also been confirmed that Slayhem will be 20% longer than the original story. This had been touched upon before at the 15th anniversary event, where they stated that the new mode would be significantly longer, but now we have an actual percentage to go along with it, which is pretty cool. HowLongToBeat.com lists that it takes 33.5 hours to beat the main story for Danganronpa 2, so that would make the new mode about 40.4 hours long, which is pretty incredible. And although this wasn't necessarily new information for me, it still really is nice to get more clarity on it and to know how long to expect this mode to be. We also get confirmation that we get the option to choose the original story or Slayhem from the beginning. So it's also really cool to know that we can just start it whenever. I will most definitely be playing the new scenario first. And then once again, it states that in the new mode, a certain incident triggers a dramatically different chain of events with different victims, culprits, and tricks. And we get this screenshot of Komaeda and Hajime staring down at a beach with a ship. But this time we get a little bit of dialogue alongside it, where Komaeda says, "Looks like we go down this way." I have been speculating for a long time that the certain incident that triggers the new story is them finding the boat and taking it to a different island. And the way this press release is set up kind of reaffirms that idea to me, since right after it mentions how a certain incident triggers new events, it shows this screenshot of Hajime and Kamida looking at the boat and Kamida basically saying like, yo, let's go check out that boat, more or less. I still could be wrong, but that is my expectation at the moment. It just feels like whenever they talk about the new scenario, they show this screenshot a lot, and to me that implies that this is a very important CG, and likely could be the event that they keep alluding to. Also during the panel, the voice actors for Kamida, Monokuma, Chiaki, and Hajime performed some iconic scenes from Danganronpa 2 live. The most notable one to me is that they had Hajime and Kamida's voice actors perform the infamous octagon line from chapter 4. It was honestly pretty hilarious.
If I recall, an octagon is a shape with 8 sides, right? I didn't expect you to know that.
They also had some CGs accompany the actors while they performed their lines, and I don't think it was ever specified if these CGs were from the original game or the remake, so I'm highly assuming that these are just CGs from the original game, especially because this segment is before the 2x2 section, and I really don't think they would include new CGs before that section without clarifying. I mean, like, we're going feral over a Kazuichi sprite, so I don't think they're gonna drop new trial screenshots without clarification. I just wanted to mention that here because I've seen people on Twitter saying that these CGs that were used for the section are from the new remake, and I really do not think that they are. But yeah, next up, they give us new information about the world map. They mentioned that it's undergone a major update. They mentioned that Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair featured a side-scrolling map for traveling in between locations. Danganronpa 2x2 introduces a 3D world map that gives players a clearer sense of the island's layout. Players can navigate the island however they prefer, whether by freely running across the map or instantly traveling to a selected destination. The 3D map, when displayed from a first-person perspective, also evokes a tropical atmosphere. This is a screenshot we get from the press release showing the resort. They did actually show footage of you walking around the resort as Hajime during the panel, and it honestly looks really, really beautiful. I mean, overall, it looks pretty similar to the screenshot, just like in motion. So you can see the water moving and like glistening in the sun. They said during the panel they wanted to provide a more resort-like feeling for the player, and based off of what I've seen, I feel like they've really accomplished that. Looking at the footage, it definitely does make you feel like you're on vacation. Next up, they show a side-scrolling Hajime running, and then clarify that that was from the original Danganronpa 2, before showing the New World map, where you get that bird's eye view of Hajime running around the whole island. During the panel, they showed him like super fast running from place to place. It was pretty funny, like the whole audience laughed. I think even when the voice actors like pointed out like, how does he run that fast? Then next up, the panel showed some never before seen character introductions for Nekomaru, Sayonji, and Kazuichi. Everybody in the crowd oohed and awed when the character sprites were animated on screen. I will say during this panel too, it did kind of seem like the character movements weren't quite as exaggerated as we have seen in the past, like during the demo or previous trailers. So I am wondering if they did take some of the criticism that people had for the animations, or if it just so happens that these characters have more subtle movements. But that is something I kind of wanted to point out. Honestly though, you don't really get too much information from the actual footage of the section. I feel like we get a lot more information from the press release, since we get high quality stills of the sprites. Overall, looking at the old sprites compared to the new sprites, you can definitely tell that there is more shading and more details added to each character. There's also some like unique differences that each character has too. Like for Nekomaru, it kind of seems like he has more of that like manga-like shading on his neck. I think he has like a couple more veins added to his hands too. The lightning strikes coming from his eyes seem to kind of fade out as they go. And he now has like a white outline added to his aura, which to me kind of makes him look more like he's an anime character powering up. Next up, we have Sayonji. She looks pretty similar overall to me. The main difference I noticed is that her kimono seems to have a slightly different pattern design. The cat images are a smaller design. Then if you look at the orange part of her kimono, you'll see that some of the flowers have more details added to them. But yeah, that's all I really noticed with her so far. Finally, we have Kazuichi Soda. Looking at his sprite, it looks like his hair is actually longer, and I would say that the pink color of his hair seems to be a bit more vibrant too. I feel like his beanie as well seems to be a slightly different shade of gray. His pins look to be a little bit smaller on his pocket, and you can also see the white stripe on his arm sleeve, which doesn't seem to be visible in his original sprite. After this, I decided to take a look at the translated introductions that were shared during the panel and compare them to the introductions that were shown in the original Danganronpa 2, and honestly, the scripts seem identical, so I assume all of these introductions are from the remake. But then that got me to thinking. I was like, are the introductions going to be exactly the same in Slayhem mode anyways? Since, it seems like everything is going to be the same until that incident occurs. So I'm actually kind of wondering if the introductions are just going to stay identical throughout both modes anyways. But I wanted to check to compare just in case. But yeah, that's all the information I saw regarding 2x2 at the AX panel. Let me know what you guys think. Were you surprised by any of this new information? Were you surprised that the release date got delayed? Or were you kind of like me and expected it? Overall, I just want them to make a good game and not hurt themselves in the process. So if delaying it means that they'll have more time to rest and have more time to really polish the game and make it something worth playing, then I am a-okay with that. I'm just overall glad that we're getting more transparency on how development is going, because like I said, it was feeling a little ominous for a while, like waiting months and months on end without hearing anything. So I'm just glad we finally got an update. And then yeah, what do you guys think about the new sprites too? But yeah, very curious to hear what you guys have to say. Please do be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you do enjoy my videos. That kind of stuff helps out a bunch, and yeah, I will see you guys real soon.